Hey, it's Amelia. I wanted to film something because I haven't filmed in a while, and I have basically one setup that works for me right now, which is filming with my desk light. But that doesn't really work for filming my face, so I thought I could try a video with just looking at products, so I hope this doesn't bother you. I'm doing a overview of my current foundation collection, and unfortunately I can't show you what all of them look like on my face, but that wouldn't really work anyway, even if I was filming myself, because I can't wear all of them at once. So this one I actually almost completely finished today, and I repurchased it today. This is the Physicians Formula Foundation in LW2. This one's dirty because I owned it, and this one's dirty because people at Ulta apparently touch foundation with dirty hands. But it's plastic, so I can take it off. The shade range isn't great, obviously. There's 16 shades. It's not that good. And the application is really annoying. It has a wand situation. It's really messy because I took the stopper out, as you can see. I have a little bit of product left. The wand is fine in the beginning, but like you have to dip back in so many times just to get one application that I really don't see a point. Another issue, and I don't know if you can really tell, I guess you can at this angle, all of this product up here around the top I can't get at. So when you open it like this, even with the stopper out, I can't get that far. These are the two tools I use. They're spatulas from Ulta, and they work to get all the way down to the bottom, like no problem, but they can't get underneath here. So it does irritate me that there's wasted product. This has the traditional 1 fluid ounce, but that's still product I can't get out. Obviously, though, I repurchased it, so clearly I like it enough. This is a pretty decent match for me, but it is slightly pink, I've found. When I wear my NYX one over here, which I'll talk about in a minute, I find that the color matches better, and with this I have to bronze, partly because it's a little light right now, but also partly because it will add yellow that I need. And in most lightings it looks fine, but in some lightings it's not a perfect match. So I do think the shade range, not only is it very small, but there's not enough differentiation between the warm and the cool. The warm is still a little cool, at least for me. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation in the shade Vanilla. This is darker than this one on me. I don't know if you can tell. I do not like this foundation, but I'm still using it. My issues are, it is a very matte foundation, and it dries very quickly into a matte, flat finish. My biggest problem that I've encountered so far is it will not layer at all. There is no building this foundation. The few times that I've had to restart doing my makeup recently have been with this foundation, because I'll go in to add a tiny bit of more coverage in one spot, or maybe like a little bit under my eyes, or like over acne or something really small, and instead of adding coverage, it will just pick up product off my face. And not only do I have bald spots then, but then if I try to blend to make it look not like a bald spot with a clear divide line, it'll end up actually building up product on the circumference of the bald spot circle, if that makes sense. So I'll have normal pigmentation, a dark thick line, and then a bald spot, and it's really horrific and you can't fix it. One time I thought maybe if I set it with powder and then go over it with my Hourglass powders, that'll make it work, but that didn't help at all. It was horrible. I had to start over. It is not something I like wearing on days where I have to get ready early in the morning. So the way I have to make it work is apply it with a sponge, and because there's no building, I do 2 pumps, dab it on the back of my hand with the sponge, and then go in very quickly on one cheek, make sure I finish that area, and then move on to the next area. And there is no wearing other products that are cream with this. There's no concealer, there's no cream, contour, blush, or whatever happening, because I feel it just does the same issue as with building it upon itself. The most recent incident was I put on concealer first, and it's the kind of concealer where it is very creamy and it won't set until you set it. That underneath a very matte, mattifying, crazy dry foundation is a recipe for disaster, and I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. So my experience so far is that this is not a good foundation. Yesterday I watched that Talia do a review. Well, actually I didn't watch the whole thing. I sort of scrolled through it because I wanted to see what she thought, and because I had to leave, so I was like, I need to watch this video in like 3 seconds, and it's like 20 minutes long. So I went down to the comments, and people were saying, oh, I've seen so many bad reviews, it sucks for blah blah blah, whatever reason. So the gist that I got, she doesn't love the foundation, but I didn't actually have time to watch the whole thing. But it sounds like, from the comments that I read, that a lot of people don't like this, so it's not just me that's having issues with this. And I was thinking, maybe I'm just not a matte foundation person, but if other people are having issues, then I don't think it's just me. And I do prefer something like this, where I can apply it and it's not going to dry as I'm applying it, and if I want to layer, I can. If I want to layer it with other products, I can. I really like the kind of cream product, and by cream I mean foundation and concealer. I don't wear cream blushes or contours or anything like that, but I like my base makeup to be something where I can put it on, I could go eat a snack, I was about to say take a shower, that doesn't even make sense. I can walk around, watch TV, come back, and it'll still be wet, and I can still add product or blend and then set it myself. I like to choose when my foundation is setting and when it's not, and I can do with that with the Physicians Formula, but I can't with the NYX one, and that's annoying to me. This one is older. I shook it up because I wanted you to be able to see the color. But now I kind of wish I had left it so you could see how much I have left. I can't see if you can see in there. This foundation is 0.43 fluid ounces, or 13 milliliters. I don't measure in milliliters because I'm from the US, so I don't even know what that means. This one's 30. Okay, so 13 is less than half of 30, so that makes sense. This has very little product. It's actually similar price to this one, but this has more than double the product. So does the Physicians Formula. This one I hated at first, and I was really upset. The box says 4 drops for full coverage, 3 drops for medium, and I think it's like 1 to 2 for light or sheer coverage, whatever. I never got that to work, and I thought I was crazy because I'm like, why am I using 17 drops to do my face? But then I was watching Raw Beauty Christy, and I don't remember which video it is, but it was really funny where she was commenting on the 4 drops thing, and she said, yeah, maybe per quadrant, which is very accurate because I use 4 drops, 3 or 4 per cheek, and then 3 for my forehead, and then I do some on my chin and then my nose. I actually have decided I really like this foundation, specifically if I'm using one of these brushes. These are really dirty, I'm sorry. This is my Hourglass Vanish foundation brush, and this is my Sephora, I love when it doesn't focus for me. There we go. This is the Sephora Pro Flawless Airbrush, number 56. When I use these to apply this, I get a nice sheer to medium coverage. So this is like my light coverage foundation, and I actually really like it, and it's a fast look. This is in the shade Vanilla. This is actually very light on me. This is also the shade Vanilla, and I'll just show you the vast difference between color lines, foundation lines, whatever. So that's one drop out of that one. So that's pretty light. I think this is the lightest foundation I've ever owned that's still been actually a good color match. Like, it matches my natural skin tone. However, like most people, I go out in the sun at least once a year, so I do have a slight tan most of the time, at least on my upper body. So that matches my natural pale skin tone. This actually matches me right now on my face. I don't want to do too much, but I had to blend it in off camera, but I think you can see the difference. And when I do a full face, you can really tell the difference. This is very dark in comparison. I did have the Milani foundation at one point in the shade something Vanilla. It was like 01, and that was very orange. This isn't that orange, but I think it's interesting that they could get a correct shade for vanilla. Like, that looks like a vanilla to me. That makes sense. They could do it for one foundation, but then they can't stop, won't stop line. I don't know. But this one has 42 shades. To be honest, I bought this because I was in the NYX store and I hadn't heard of this foundation yet, but I saw Alyssa Ashley's photos on the display and I thought, well, if she's promoting it, then it's probably not horrible. Like, because I trust her and all that. And I was right. It's not horrible. I can make this work most days. I just take a beauty blender, or not a beauty blender, a Real Technique sponge, apply it all over my face as strategically as possible, and then I'm good to go. But it's very difficult to use, and it's not something I would personally recommend or promote. And it is makeup disaster prone, so it's not something that I think you should get unless you have very oily skin and you think that kind of foundation is good for you. I feel like I can't really recommend products to people with different skin types than me because I don't actually know how it would look. So I have a normal skin type, and I find the can't stop, won't stop formula to really not work for me. So I would watch people with oily skin review it and see how that works. For reference, I am one of the people who hates the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. It really didn't work for me, and I have to look back on my review on Instagram of it, but I vaguely remember having similar issues with it just not looking right on my skin. I obviously don't have that foundation anymore, but I do have the Coverall Cream Foundation from Wet n Wild, and this is in the shade Fair. Over the summer, I tried, I think, the Fenty foundation, and I think it was the Physicians Formula also. And I really liked that they stayed a lot better on my nose, and I feel like this one doesn't do that as well as those ones did. So my opinion on this has changed a little bit in that I don't think it has the lasting power that others do. That being said, this is like $4. But the shade range really isn't good. I think online there's about 11 shades, but in store I typically see anywhere from 3 to 5. And it just so happens that this lightest shade works well enough for me. I'll put some over here. But this one is also a little pink on me, so it's not a perfect match. It's a little pink. Also, that's a lot of product, so it's not really blended in. But I think you can maybe see the difference, how yellow that is and how pink this is. The undertone is just a little off for me, so I don't think I'll repurchase this, especially considering the shade range issue. Overall, this one has a good formula and a good color range, so I feel comfortable recommending this as long as you understand that the 4-drop, 3-drop, 2-drop thing that they recommend is complete horseshit. You're going to use a lot of drops if you're using it by itself to do full coverage. If you're looking for sheer coverage, you won't need that much. And if you're looking to mix into other things, even better. So, looking at these, I would not repurchase these two. I just repurchased this one. I'm going to try and scrape out more of this, but this is basically an empty. And I am happy with these two. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a good shade range. I will email the company when I have a chance to ask them about their shade range, because I feel like the more people ask a brand for something, the more likely they are to go through with doing that for their customers. And I've emailed them before. Or no, I haven't. Have I? I have emailed them once before about a different issue. And they did respond to me, which not all brands respond to my email, so I actually appreciated that. The one thing I will say about this is it really doesn't look good on my skin, whereas this foundation is a very flattering, I don't know how to explain it, like maybe a satin finish or like a cream finish, I don't know. It doesn't look matte. This looks horrible. I use my Hourglass powders. This one, my highlighter, Luminous Light, is really good, and so is Dim Light, which I use to sort of bronze and all that, or to color correct. But I wanted to bring it up because yesterday when I was trying to fix an issue I had with this one, I realized that there's no amount of even Hourglass powder that can make this look good if you mess up. You can only use it to help make it look a little better when you get it to work decently for you, but that's a lot of effort to put in for a foundation. I believe this was around $15, and I just don't feel like it's worth that price point, so I would not recommend it. I will try to find a review of someone saying they enjoy it, and having them explain why, and I will put that in the description if I can find one, because I don't want it to just be me saying it's a crappy foundation without giving you the option to find someone who has a different opinion. And I know a lot of people actually don't like the Coverall one. I haven't watched any reviews on this one. I sort of just bought it to try it out, and I liked it, mainly because this one and this one are the most accessible to me in my drugstore, which is an important factor for me, and I know it is for a lot of other people. These are the only two cruelty-free foundations I can get in store, besides Wet n Wild has the photo focus one, which I hate, and they have a new cushion one, which I'm not really interested in, but it is disappointing that this one doesn't have a lot of shades. So I think when this is gone, if I email them and they don't seem to be interested in expanding shade ranges, I might stick to this one for now. I also wanted to film this because for my no-buy this year, I'm not buying any new eyeshadow, except for these ones, which I will make a video about because there's a reason I got those. I'm asking for a lot of face makeup for my birthday and Christmas, which will be December and February. So I'm going to get a large influx of foundations soon, and I would like to have some sort of reference video for what my thoughts were before I tried those, because I feel like every time I try a new foundation, my perspective on all of my foundations shifts a little bit with that new found information or newfound preferences. And also, I just haven't filmed a video in a while, and I really wanted to. just for reference again, this is my nasty Real Technique sponge. It's on its deathbed, clearly. I actually like to wait until there's like a crack, like split it in half, and then I'll like take one half and continue to use it. I really like to beat the hell out of them. I love this mainly for concealer or for my NYX Total Drops foundation. And then this one, I really like it for my Physicians Formula, or sometimes this one. And this one can use a brush, but I find it looks more patchy. Oh, I should have talked about that. So this one has a patchiness problem, which is part of the reason why I need 2 drops per section of my face. With 1 drop, even with a sponge, it just looks patchy, and with a brush I find that it's an exaggerated patchiness, so I would only use a sponge with this one. And then this one is a very thick cream, so I just prefer a sponge for that kind of texture, but you can use a brush, and I have, and it's fine. It's just I don't enjoy it as much. I feel like it feels more like I'm dragging something across my face. But the main reason I like foundation brushes is because, as you can see, my my sponge is very dirty. It has powder in it, and it's a little dry because sometimes I just don't feel like fucking washing my sponges. So I like to have a brush to use for the days where I'm like, oh, I forgot to wash my sponge and I don't feel like getting up. Because I'd have to walk down the hall to the bathroom just to wet my sponge. It's really annoying. So yeah, that's basically how I do my face makeup in the morning. And I sort of pick my foundations based on how much time I have and all that. I will be trying to finish these up before Christmas and whatever. And this one, obviously, I'd like to finish. So those are my current foundation thoughts. Let me know what your favorite cruelty-free foundations are, preferably drugstore. Because I go through foundation very quickly, so I really don't like buying high-end ones for myself. So if you have any recommendations, preferably not ones similar to this in any way, that would be great. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.